Okay, so I it took me about a week, but I finally finished the second Doctor Who story. This was like a 6 or 7 parter, the Daleks, and I have to say it was a pretty rough one. Now it started off really good. The first few episodes of this story were like really well done, like very like liminal space esque. Like they get to this like they get to Skaro and they get to this like abandoned city, and like the way the halls are constructed and the way like things are implied about, like, because obviously they have no budget, so they're just like implying things about the location, and the way it's just all in these like maze like hallways, and that's like where everything takes place, and like the action of them getting it was just like felt very liminal and very creepy, and like good start, and then it just descend like when the Thals were introduced, which are like the other race I guess was living on Skaro. It just like dragged down into like this really boring stale story. So like it went from like, yeah, like a really cool start, and it just didn't keep up with that. But the vibes in the start of this story were like immaculate, so well done, so good, so unique, you know. Almost reminded me of the recent episode Wild Blue Yonder. Honestly, it gave me like some of those vibes at its outset. But yeah, something interesting. I personally, even though Doctor Who is like my favorite thing ever, I've never been a fan of the Daleks. I've always found them to be like very cheesy and one dimensional for like the show, and of course Doctor Who is cheesy, and oftentimes it does have one dimensional stuff. But like, I don't know, they lacked like the depth that a lot of our villains have for me in the series, and they were just kind of like, oh, another Dalek episode. Oh, the Daleks are the villains of this season. Oh boy, who would have thought? Like it kind of gave me that vibe, and I've come to realize that the Daleks that I know in like modern Who, and I don't know if how long it takes for this to be the case. It could happen very well early on into Classic Who, but they definitely become a Flanderization of themselves. And I know obviously they were so immensely popular after these episodes aired that like, they obviously have to keep bringing them back and back and back. But like, they're definitely Flanderized in modern Doctor Who, like for sure, because the Daleks have like a lot of nuance here. Like they are scientists. Like they're fucked up already to start. I will clarify that they are like messed up, but they are scientists doing like experiments like for the sake of science, and like they don't kill the Doctor and his companions right away. They like capture them and like they give them food, they give them shelter. Like it's like it was a very like new interesting like approach. I say new interesting approach to the Daleks when this was the first ever approach to the Daleks. But like, yeah, it was a very surprising approach for me actually, and I actually was like kind of interested, and like I realized like, hey, like the Daleks must have been Flanderized, um, so yeah, I'm interested to see how that trend like happens over the course of the series, and it poses a lot of questions because like the Skara we know, obviously the Daleks are the only inhabitants, and so I'm very interested to see if like the Thals are something that was just in this episode and then they're like just abandoned, like the series forgets about them, or if they're like a recurring thing throughout like Classic Who, or maybe through the first Doctor's era, and then like we see their like demise or genocide. Because like the Doctor mentioned in the end of the episode, like maybe I'll go visit your grandchildren's generation, see how you've come along, and I'm wondering, oh, and that leads me to another point. But I'm wondering if like we'll see what happens to the Thals and why the Daleks are the only remaining race on Skaro. But another interesting thing that happened is like the Doctor just, again, he's like not a good person. Not a good person at all. He's not there to help. He like manipulates and like fucks with his own companions just for his own selfish gain. He like but something that like really occurred to me is like he nonchalantly commits like genocide at the end, when that's been like a whole theme of like New Who, especially allowing the Daleks. But like he nonchalantly, the Daleks like if you don't re-up this power source, we're all going to die. And he's like, I don't know how to re-up the power source. Sorry. Like, almost that exact tone. It was almost like he's like, yeah, I really don't know how. Sorry. And then it just like the modern Doctor would figure out like even his worst enemy, he would figure out like a way to save them. So I'm very curious to see like how like if this development for the Doctor as a character like trickles in over time, or if it's like a generation thing, like maybe he regenerates into 2 or 3 and he has like a different moral code or something like that. But like, and like, if that happens, it'll be kind of dumb, but it is what it is. But Yeah, like I said, overall, this story had a really good start with really cool, creepy liminal vibes, and then descended into pretty like like pretty drudgy staleness. But yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes from here. I'm interested to see how the Daleks develop over time. There's a lot of interesting stuff that I feel like is probably retconned about the Daleks in this episode. I can't remember like the exact details, but it's like about their origin and stuff and their relation to the Thals. And I think like you know maybe when they introduce Davros, I don't know which Doctor that happens with. Yeah, but when they introduce the Davros and like go into all of that lore, I'm sure they'll be retconning some of this, or maybe they'll tie it in perfectly. Who knows? But yeah, that's about my thoughts on this story. Despite like the drowsiness toward the end of the story, I'm still excited for the next ones, and I'm excited to keep going. So yeah, thanks guys for watching.